Hey everybody, welcome back to Out of the Ordinary with Jay, and today I am with
Sarah.
And Sarah, I'd like to give a little context for the viewers. So can you tell me how old you are?
I'm 46.
46 years young, okay,
Yeah.
Great, that's good. You look wonderful.
Thank you.
Where are you from?
I'm from Port Angeles, Washington.
Port Angeles, Washington.
Yes.
Okay, is there a port there, I assume?
There is.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It's one of the deepest freshwater ports, I think, in the U.S.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So-
and I believe like years ago it was designated that if something ever happened to like Washington D.C., like Port Angeles would be like the capital after that because of like where it is with the water, and it
Really?
had like land protection as well. There's a lot of old bunkers and stuff there along the
I didn't know
water.
that. So it would go from Washington, D.C. to Washington State,
Yes.
where Port Angeles
Yes.
is.
And this was years and years ago.
Port Angeles is pretty small, though, right?
Yeah, it's definitely smaller than here. It's really comparable, though, kind of, I feel like, the feel of it, because you've got the Olympic mountain range behind you,
Oh, nice.
and then the Strait of Juan de Fuca in front. So it's kind of like here with the Bellingham Bay and then the mountain here. You kind of have that feeling, that same feeling.
Gotcha. So what, do you have a guess on the population of Port Angeles?
I want to say maybe like 30,000.
Oh, okay, so it's not that small.
40, yeah,
it's pretty
maybe
decent
30,
size.
20, 30.
Okay,
I'd say it's probably like, quite a bit smaller than Bellingham.
okay. Well, I like to talk to people about various subjects that are interesting to me that I hope are interesting to the viewer.
Yeah.
And one of those is aging.
Mhm.
You know, there's, and at 46, that's what you said you were, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have your own perspective as a 46-year-old woman on thoughts on aging, and I'd love to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm not looking forward to getting older at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm looking forward to it much more than the alternative, I suppose. But what to you is the toughest part about aging?
I feel for me, like, it's just the changes, especially, like, as a woman, you know, your body's going through a lot of changes, as you get into kind of my, like, age
Yeah.
range. To me, that's probably the hardest, because it's so unexpected and you never know what to expect.
I had this conversation with a guy a while back, and I likened it as like, it's kind of like a second puberty, but in this case, instead of like gaining skills and gaining abilities, you're on the losing end.
Yeah, you're like
The second time,
deteriorating.
it's like anyway.
You're going downhill.
Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah.
So the toughest part you would say would be like the changes related to age.
Yes. Yeah, for like, especially like women with like menopause and things like that.
Right.
And like premenopause, perimenopause, I feel like that's probably the hardest because, like I said, you just don't know. And every woman's different. And so there's just new experiences, new things happening. You just never know what to expect.
Those friggin' hormones.
I know, girl.
I know. It's like, and it's funny too, because I've had, I actually have a whole video, which I'll link to this in there, but I did a one on menopause.
Okay.
And she's pretty funny. She's a good interview, but she talked about how everybody told her and warned her, and she's like, nothing to prepare you.
Right.
It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, my sister went through it about 5 years ago, and my mom and her both were very early into their menopause, and so I've just been like, please just let this happen. I just want to get it like over with.
Exercise the demons.
Yeah.
So let's go the other way. What's an upside to aging? Like, what do you like about it, if anything?
I just feel like just being more mature in mind, just being more at ease with yourself as a person,
Okay.
and just not feeling old. Like I feel like at 46, like I don't feel like I'm old, and
Yeah.
I love that.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm perpetually immature,
Yeah.
personally.
And I don't even think 46 is that old. I look at my my parents. My mom's like gonna be 75 this year, and I mean doesn't seem old.
Yeah.
Like she's not old. Like she's never gonna die.
I think it's all relative.
Yeah.
And age-wise, and it's especially weird. Like if you go back and you look at like an old black and white movie, and like a 30-year-old guy looks like he's like 60.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
So, weird,
So it's like
yes.
it's so
Yes.
weird. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like
It's like you look at like the show like The Golden Girls, like where the ages like
Or-
they are in the show, or like what like J-Lo and stuff is now. And you're like, how?
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it makes one wonder what the new middle age really is. Like, what is that actual number? And what is actually counts as old age anymore? I don't know. I
don't know.
There's 67-year-olds running marathons. How old are they?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
You're young at heart, young at spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like, what would you say is the perfect age? Like, do you have a perfect age? Do you think there's a perfect age?
I don't know, because I don't think I've hit it yet. Like, I don't feel like maybe I haven't hit it yet.
Oh, well, how lucky for you. Isn't that awfully convenient? So,
you know, your 20s are for growing, and, you know, I don't feel like my 30s I was at my best self, and I feel great in my 40s now, but I kind of feel like there's better things for me in my future, possibly.
Wow.
So I just kind of want to feel like that's on the horizon.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite. One of the most favorite things I've ever heard in a video. I think that's great. Yeah, because you never know what's next.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you get to keep taking all this experience and ideas with you. I like that. So what would you say is like the perfect age? Is there a perfect age for like general well-being or health and happiness, or is that still your same answer? Because like, you know what I mean? Like as a male, right? Your 20s are definitely when you're at your, you know, most vigorous and, you know, can throw the ball around and run the fastest and all that. And then 30s and 40s you're usually crushing it in your career pretty well, you know. And then from there I don't really know, but like I don't know, is there like what's a good age for health and happiness, or is it still the same answer?
I kind of feel like it probably would be the same answer. I feel like society probably would want you to say it's maybe in like your 30s or 40s. That's when you're building your family. Like you said, you're probably at your strength and like your body. Financially, you're in a good place.
Right. Yeah, it makes me wonder, who is this society person anyways? This society, you know what I mean? Like, like society says, who's that? Anyway.
Yeah.
But, okay. Along those same lines, like, I love asking this question, but you said you're 46, but how old do you feel? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think like going back to my answer is like I don't feel old. Like I feel like I can only feel like I'm 36 or 46. You know, like I feel like I'm 46.
Okay.
Because I am 46. You know,
I gotcha.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. I like that answer.
Yeah.
I have heard other answers, and I'd like to get your take on it. And this is where I've talked with people that are quite a bit older than you, and they'll say something like, "Well, I look in the mirror and I don't really recognize that person. I don't feel like that person looks." Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
They'll say things like that.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? They feel, whatever, 33 perpetually or whatever they feel, but then the imagery is different.
Yeah, and I think it goes, you know, just kind of the conversation we're just having about, like, what does 50 look like today? Because everybody is so different than from what it was, like, in the past.
Right.
And, like, seeing, like, who I am now when I look in the mirror, like, I don't really feel like I look much different than I did when I was in my 30s.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
there's obviously a little bit, like, of aging, but, like, when I look in the mirror, like you just said, like, a lot of people don't think I look 46.
Yeah, I certainly did not. Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting question. I forgot I wrote this one. I like this one. So how long would you like to live?
Would I like to live?
Yeah.
I feel like at this point in my life, I've lived half my life. And so if I could go into my 90s, then I'd probably be, like right now, I'd be at
92?
Yeah, my like halfway point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And why would you say 92? Like why pick that number versus say 70 or say I never want to die?
Well, yeah.
I mean, like
I don't think I'd ever want to live forever because, you know, times change like so much, and I feel like
you just don't want to have to keep up with the fashion at some
point.
point.
It's gonna get bad eventually, real bad eventually. I don't know if I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, but you'd be so wise. You could be part of the solution.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, and who knows? You know, with our planet and things going on in the environment and things like that, you just don't know where life is gonna be.
Right.
That much farther into the future.
Right.
And I'd like to eventually pass peacefully somewhere and not have the thought that I'm going to have to be stuck for the rest of my life.
Right.
So if I can put myself at my halfway point now, be like, I've been here for half the time, I still have that much to go, and you feel like I've lived this much life in 46 years.
Yeah.
And 46 more, that seems like infinity to me.
Right. What's funny is I get varying answers on this. Sometimes I hear people that maybe they're about your age, and they'll say like something like, well, you know, that sounds about the right age, 90 something or whatever, because you know they're fairly exhausted with their jobs. They're fed up with their relationship. They're just ready. The kids are driving them crazy. They're like, you know what? I don't see this going on much longer, right? But then I've heard other people or seen other interviews and stuff where people will say like, yeah, everybody says they're like, they'll call it quits at say 80 or 90, whatever their number is, until they get there, and then usually like, they're fighting for, like, heal me, fix me, I want to be around a little more. So it's like, anyway, it's kind of an interesting
It is,
question.
And you never know, like, when you get, higher up in years, it's like every day could be the last, and you have to probably appreciate them even more.
Yeah. There was a comedian one time, he made a joke even about Alzheimer's. I hate to make an Alzheimer's joke, but he made this joke. He basically said, he's like, oh, I can't wait to get Alzheimer's because everything will be new to me, like every day. I get to tell the same stories over and over again. Anyway. Okay. Do you have any sort of tips for health and happiness that you've picked up along the way?
Let's see. Just trying not to let everything get you down. Like, just try to stay positive. And I know that's not always the easiest thing to say, especially in like today's environment. Just have some, like, step away from your computer, step away from online, especially today. There's just so much negativity. When you're just on your phone, like doom scrolling constantly, like
it's addicting.
Through
it's
the
very
day.
Addictive.
It is addictive, and just taking some wellness time, some self-care time. Just finding that thing that you love and being able to spend time doing it.
Yeah, and doom scrolling is one thing, but I have other videos that talk about this topic of where we're just kind of inundated with information. But it's like, if you go back, you're 46. If you go back to like probably when you were born, there were probably like 4 news channels or 4 channels period, and they probably only played the news at night one time or in the morning, and that was it. Now it's like this constant bombardment. In other words, you might hear about a train wreck back in the day once a week. Now it's every other minute. You know what I mean? And so it's like it is an interesting what we ingest. I think that's good advice on being healthier and happier. Do you have any advice that you might give to the next generation? I know I'm tapping. If you want to take a pass on these, we can pass and come back or skip them all together.
Let's see, advice for the next generation. Be kind.
That's a good one.
That's, I think, the best advice that you could give somebody is be kind.
Just be kind.
Do unto others as you want others to do unto you.
The old golden rule.
Yep.
So be kind in spite of maybe things not being kind in the moment to you, right? Just be kind, period. I like that.
Yeah.
You might have the same answer, I don't know, but what advice would you give to others your age?
Others my age.
Don't do interviews on YouTube that could come back to haunt you 10 years later.
I don't know, I feel like because, everybody is in such different places, so it's hard to, like, give advice.
That is true.
For me, being, like, a single person with no kids, they have a totally different experience as, like, somebody who's married or has been divorced, has grown kids, has grandkids, I mean, they have a completely different outlook on life than, like, what I do.
Right. Well, okay, I like that, though. I like that you're thinking of that your situation doesn't necessarily pertain to other people. You're right. Yeah. Okay. What would you give? What advice would you give to the elderly? Pretend you're 92 now.
Pretend I'm 92.
You know that.
Live every day like it's your last, because it might be like
the old proverbial bus.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why do you think we don't do that so well? Why do you think we don't? Because you always hear that cliche of, live every day like it's your last, or live in the present moment and all these things. But like I struggle with this personally, like all the time, where I'm very rarely here. I'm planning my next trip or my next function for work or my next whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do this thing in 2 weeks. And then as soon as I get to that thing in 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for the next thing in 2 weeks. But I'm like, I'm not even there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, why do we do that?
I don't know why we do that.
It's weird, right?
Yeah. I just think there's just so much going on in, like, all of our lives all the time. I feel like from day to day, like we were talking about with, like, technology and, work and jobs and family and friends and everything. And you don't have to make every day the best day ever, but just be grateful that you're here.
I like that. When you say we have so much going on, could that also be said we have too much going on?
Probably, yeah. I mean, life could be simpler and it probably would be better. Yeah,
I just did a video, I think it hasn't been posted yet. It's getting ready to be posted on minimalism. The whole minimalism and that whole thing. And like the idea that we talk about how much stuff we've had to take on, back when you were a kid, think back then, how many passwords and PIN numbers and logins and all these things did you have? Zero. You had nothing. The things you had to keep track of were so minimal
they were.
In your mind, and you weren't. There wasn't technology constantly absorbing your attention over and over again, and so
That's true.
it is just super interesting anyway.
Like I just can't imagine like growing up like now how kids have to.
Mhm.
Like compared to how I grew up without the internet and without that. I think like when internet started to come around, I was probably like maybe a freshman. You know, that's when it started really. We kind of got like a computer
Right.
at home, you know, and like it was, AOL, dial-up, like all of those kind of things. I just would hate to live how kids are just so online, and that's like their world.
Yeah, it's a weird trade. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
It's a weird trade-off because on the one hand, kids today have, they can dial 911 from anywhere. They've got GPS to get them anywhere. There's a lot of things that have made things a lot safer. They've got video cameras they can whip out if they see an injustice or something going on, right? But then there's all the other stuff that we know about.
Yeah, like the online hate and bullying and things like that. And I'm just glad I lived growing up where we were outside a lot more and just out running the streets.
Probably one of the most beautiful places on the planet. What has been the most surprising part about getting older? Like, what is something that you've been like kind of like surprised by?
I don't know. I just feel like I don't feel like I'm getting older. You know,
Right.
It's like I just feel like I'm just me.
Mm.
You know, like maybe that's kind of surprising. Like you think like the day to day would kind of change, but it doesn't really feel like I've been with First Fed now for 7 years. And I don't feel like I feel any different 7 years ago when I started here than I do right now. Like I feel like I'm like the exact same person.
Right.
And as the years are piling up, like I don't feel like a lot is like changing, like with aging. Like I maybe like if I start physically feeling like a lot of like, you're starting to get like lots more wrinkles and you're starting to deteriorate, like looking a lot different, maybe then like I'll start to feel a little bit different. But so far, other than like the things we were talking about
far,
earlier,
so good.
Yeah, so far so good.
Okay. Yeah. There's a person, I can't remember, some famous gal. Maybe I'll remember her name by the time I'm in this video. But she doesn't count her birthday. She literally doesn't do birthdays. And I can't remember who it is. It's someone like a J-Lo or
Is it
something.
like, I think it's Mariah Carey.
It's Mariah Carey.
It is Mariah
That's
Carey.
who it is.
Yes, it is.
It's Mariah Carey. Yeah, she doesn't do birthdays.
She doesn't, no.
No, that was
she doesn't do
interesting.
age.
That's right.
No,
I like that. Let's see. Well, I'll tell you what the most surprising part about getting older has been to me that I've witnessed. And I'd like to get your opinion on this, is like, and it kind of goes along with what you just said, like, oh, I started here working here however many years, a long time ago, and I don't feel like anything's changed. That's what surprises me, is just how fast time flies. And like everything that goes with that, like, my own life, I feel like, is basically like the same, and all of a sudden, I have a family member that had a kid, and now I'm going to their high school graduation. I'm like, whoa.
Yes.
What?
I know,
I'm like, where did that?
So weird.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't like I don't much care for markers. Like mortgage payments. I know every time one of those comes, it's what I mean? Or like or someone's graduating from something. I'm like, but that's one of the things that really surprises me the most about getting older, is how time flies. Like, it's amazing. I feel like you can write the check for, or whatever. Not write the check. That's real. But send off your mortgage payment, right? And then it's there again already. Like there was almost no break between like it coming or the next car payment or whatever. It's like boom, 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 or here's another Super Bowl, here's another Super Bowl, here's another Super Bowl. Like what?
I know. Now that you say that, I guess that is one thing that does feel different. Like time does seem to be
accelerating
by.
It's weird.
It's really weird. Like it's July. Like how is it July? It was just Christmas.
Yeah, it is a bizarre situation. I've heard weird, different theories on that. The couple theories that I've heard is, one, why time seems like it's going faster is as a percentage of your lifespan. You know what I mean? You're closer. And so, of course, things seem like they're speeding up. Another one I've heard is that one of the things that makes life seemingly slower for kids, because like I remember in high school, I was like, I'm never going to graduate.
Yeah.
I'm just never going to get out of here,
school
right?
year is forever.
I'm like, I'm never going to even make it to my sophomore year. Like, this is going on forever. Well, one of the reasons they say that time drags on for kids, younger people, is because everything is new. And so novelty or newness makes time go slower.
Okay.
And as we become older, it's always the same old, right? Get up, ready for your job, 8 to 5, clock in, clock out, pay your bills. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's that routine
Yeah.
makes time go faster. I've heard. Anyway, I don't know. Not a scientist, but whatever.
Gotta be something, because I think we all feel it.
Yeah, everybody I've ever talked to.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think have you experienced or seen anybody that's experienced, or what do you think about ageism? You know, prejudice against people that are older. You seen that? Because like I know in the workforce you definitely see it. I know older people that have applied for jobs of which they're super qualified and they get overlooked, and I have to guess it's because of their age, because you know, they're in their 60s or whatever. What do you think about ageism in general?
I like personally don't feel like I've seen a lot of ageism. I haven't been, you know, like a hiring manager for a lot of. I mean, I've had some positions where I've hired, so I haven't really been as like tuned into that.
Right.
But I know it's a thing. Like, it definitely is a thing.
Yeah, it is definitely a thing, and I don't know what the answer to that is.
No.
You know, especially now, I feel like it could get worse with, you know, tech being blown out with AI and all these other things. I think
we're gonna have probably less and less people they need when
less
robots
jobs
start doing it.
right, and all there will be less jobs to begin with.
And
then also I don't think they'll keep up with tech as much as the young people
probably not,
who are, you know, just embedded with it. How do you think about the future? We only have a couple more questions left, so but how do you think about the future now compared to when you were younger?
It's scary. Like, I don't think we thought about it as much when we were younger because we weren't inundated with all the information that we are now. We didn't know all the things. I mean, we heard about global warming and stuff like that, you know, back when I was probably in high school and things like that, but not to the level it is today where you're just like, how long is this planet even going to survive? Like, it's scary.
Right. I think I agree. I remember when I was younger, parents would have on the news and I'm like, oh, kill me. Right? And now, as a grown-up, it's basically reality TV on steroids. You know, you can't turn away from the train wrecks. And so that is super interesting. So how do you think about the future now compared to when you were younger? You would say you're probably like... It's bleak.
Yeah.
Okay. Now could you be a little more candid about that? Okay, very good. What do you think about legacy? What do you hope people remember about? And it's a little early at 46, but I mean, what do you think about legacy in general?
I mean, I think it's more important for people to care about you when you were alive than like when you were dead.
Oh, same here. I agree 100%.
Yeah. That's more important than to me what people think about me after I'm gone, because it doesn't frankly matter.
Yeah, you're gone.
You're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, I agree with you 100%. You're the first person that's answered that in the same way that I think I would have. But so you might be messed up with your answer. What I'm saying. No, but I think legacy is only useful, I think, insofar as that it helps you to lead a better life now. In other words, if you say like, oh, I'm going to do good things now because I want my legacy to be good, fine. If that's what it takes to get you to do good things, then okay. Yeah. What brings you peace at this stage of life? Boy, that's a deep question.
That's a deep question. Peace.
I don't even know what it means. You could.
Just know that like there's really nothing I can do to control the environment around me. I can only control my space. And I can only let in the positivity and the negativity that I allow.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of great teachers out there and gurus and stuff that we'll talk about. You can't control your environment.
You can't.
But you are 100% in control of your reaction to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Same idea.
So we just became Buddhists overnight. Very good. Last two questions. What are you still looking forward to? Or what are you looking forward to despite the bleak picture?
Just living life. I mean, we only have so many years to live, and I'm just looking forward to living them.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to chase anything. Like, I don't have any huge, I'm already 46. I don't have any huge aspirations of things that I think I'm going to do in the future as in, like, these big, grand things. Like, I just want to embrace it day by day and just be grateful for my time here.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Good answers. Such good answers. You're getting A+ on this if I was grading it. You seem to be doing, at least in my opinion, you seem to be doing pretty well with the whole aging thing. And number one, not everybody does so well with the aging thing when I ask them.
Yeah.
Especially sometimes the females. So do you have any sort of advice for those struggling with aging? Like, in terms of like their mindset or what they could do to like I don't know. What do you think? Have anything for like those struggling with aging? I mean, I know one that I just found very recently. I know you said less social media, which I think is a good one.
Yes.
I think that's a really less
Comparing yourself. Yeah, don't stop comparing yourself to what you see online, because so much of it is fake. Like,
Yeah.
it's Photoshop, it's filters, it's incredibly expensive surgeries. Like, it's not attainable for like 99% of the population.
And I would go one step further. I would agree with you 100%. But even if it was all real, like 100%, none of it was Photoshop, nobody posts their mediocre day.
No.
Nobody posts when they had bad tacos. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
they're only posting their great. Here we are at Disneyland.
Exactly.
Here we are at the Eiffel Tower. Here we are with the new car.
Right.
Nobody's posting like, changing their tire.
Right. Or like bed rot, where you're in bed depressed, like haven't showered in 2 days. Like, we're not seeing that.
Those like posting their oil change, their allergies are out of control. You know what I mean? Anyway, so it's like it is give you a very false sense of reality.
It is.
Yeah, I like that. All right, Sarah. Well, thanks for the interview. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. I actually had a really good time. I
Awesome.
enjoyed this.
Yay, fun. Thanks.
Okay.